split squat before they rear for elevated split squat. Simple. If they can't do this, then we obviously cannot throw their back foot up on the bench and get them to do that. I think it is okay, again, and I keep jumping forward to the football guys. If we get new football guys come in, I don't have a problem with just checking and saying, okay, can they do this? You know, can they get 10 reps each side? But I'm amazed at the number of people that do this. I just can't believe, because to me it seems, you know, again, we talk about the idea of, wear your arms when you're jumping. It doesn't make any sense to me that my knee would land under my hip or in front of my hip. But for some reason, for a lot of these kids, and I don't know whether it's because they're not flexible, or they're not comfortable, or we have not emphasized the point well enough to them, there's a lot of that. Whether or not we had talked about this with everybody else around, this idea of teaching from the bottom up. I think when we go to teach rear foot elevated split squat, we should absolutely positively teach from the bottom up, which means everybody should have to be here, up, up, up. Because that forces them to learn the bottom position. They have no choice except to learn the bottom position. And where we're having trouble is them, being comfortable in the bottom position. That's where you see, you see this, again, the kids that are trying to, it's so uncomfortable for me to try to get in the position that they're in, that they feel better. But, somehow they do. With sort of looking at their femur. And like I said, I can't even fathom how some of the kids actually manage to get their knee ahead of their hip, which to me is completely unimaginable. If we're looking, their knee, if my hip joint is here, my knee should be behind my hip joint slightly. We don't need super stress position. You don't want that because you're probably going to get some anterior capsule problems. But we want to make sure when they're hitting that their knee is in back of their hip and that they can drive themselves up from that position. Again, I would not have a problem, and I'm starting to think probably the best way to progress that exercise is this way. And put them in this situation, because now here, can I get in this position? If I can't get in this position, I don't belong in this position. You know what I mean? If I can't pick up dumbbells, hold my core in the right position, and then drive myself up from that bottom position, so we may need to rethink the bar in the back position, particularly with people, either with beginners or with people who are struggling to be correctly positioned.
You're cool with ground up for split squats?
Yeah, ground up. Also, with some of the kids that are too short, they may do better with a 12-inch box on the bench if they're really, we've got like, 5 hours.
What changes with that?
Is the amount of stretch. So, the higher the bench is, like for me, at my height, this is very, very comfortable in terms of the relationship sort of my hip to the bench. But with some of these kids, like if you take like a Ryan Forbes or somebody like that, who's shorter, his hip might be down here somewhere, which means he's really got a big time stretch going on in that leg, and they make it difficult / uncomfortable for him to get down there. And he might be better if we slide a 12-inch box under there. And that's where we just got to think through sort of the progression, regression, looking at these kids and saying, okay, will this look better? And say, okay, force him here so that we give him some reinforcement to be able to hold his arm position better and not allow him to wiggle himself out, which is, with a kid like that, you just can see him, he's kind of like Gumby, like stuff's just going all over the place, if his hip, it's his back, it's his straps. If we can put him in some extension and then put him on the bottom and make him work up. To force him to do this. But I can hopefully lock him into extension, give him a situation where he understands, kinesthetically, I don't want your knee to go forward. Okay, I can say to him, I don't want your knee to go forward, but if I don't block him that way, or if I don't block him this way, he probably doesn't understand what I mean. So if I put him here and say, I don't want your knee to go forward, I don't want your knee to, once your knee touches the bench, you've got to get that back knee down. We've got to be thinking of some method, kinesthetically, to get that awareness.